I'm fighting to manipulate everybody, including the judge in my trial. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I'm here to review episode 11 of The Real Housewives Who Look Nothing Like Marilyn Monroe of Salt Lake City. So I finally watched the last couple of episodes and Jen Shah, you are a hot ass mess and she is spiraling out of control every 5 seconds. At this point, she has an issue with everybody on the show. The producers, the editors, the cast, Andy, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, The Real Housewives of Potomac, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So she has an issue with everybody and she keeps screaming, crying, yelling, manipulating, and at this point, getting physical with some of the cast members on this show. And for some reason, they allow it and they don't say anything back to Jen Shah. They just continue letting her be a monster. And I just don't understand why they're so scared of Jen Shah. Is everybody on this show scared of Jen Shah because she might steal their social security or something? Like, I'm convinced that that must be the reason because there's just no way that they're all bowing down to Jen Shah every 5 seconds. Currently, they're on their cast trip to San Diego, California. They can't really go anywhere international or too far from Salt Lake City because Jen Shah, she's currently on the run. She's a criminal. What did Beyonce say? I don't care if we on the run, as long as I'm stealing your money. You know, the Jen Shah remix. And currently she's, her trial is still ongoing, so she can't really travel too far. So they have to go down the street to San Diego. So Angie K, the new friend of the show, she rented out this beautiful house in San Diego, right? And instead of being, grateful or thankful or whatever, Jen Shah, she throws a fit. And she's like acting like an entitled brat. She was like, oh, well, no, I need to take the master bedroom. Why are you taking it? I should be taking it because everybody has always given it to me the last 2 seasons. So why are you getting it? And, that's the issue with the cast. They have kind of like encouraged this behavior from Jen Shah by giving her the master bedroom for no reason every other season. And now she's entitled to it. Angie K, she was like, no. I spent my husband's money to get this house for all of us, so I'm gonna get the master bedroom. So what did Jen Shah do? She pulled a Mia from Potomac and she grabbed a glass of champagne and she poured it on top of her head. And Angie K, she's just standing there looking like, is that champagne that I smelled? She didn't do anything about it. And I mean, yeah, everybody reacts differently, but Angie K, that's exactly why you don't deserve a snowflake, because you let Jen punk you what, twice already? First she told you to shut the hell up. Like twice already, a couple of episodes ago. And now she pours champagne all over you and you're just like, I don't care. Like, it just could not be me. And then on top of that, everybody else on the show, they're watching Jen Shah do this and they kind of encourage this behavior. They're like, oh, she's just having fun. She's just being silly. She's a wild girl. Don't take it personal. And I'm like, what? I was actually very shocked that Meredith kind of like, was on board with this behavior. I'm like, wow, Meredith, you out of all people, everybody else, I could see them not having any sense, but you, I would think that you'll have some type of common sense, but no. So then Jen Shah, she pours the champagne on her and she was like, oh, look, I'm just being a funny girl, blah, blah, blah. And again, I'm just so shocked that Jen Shah has not been dragged throughout this entire show yet by somebody yet, because she's always getting physical or screaming in somebody's face. And for some reason, everybody just does not retaliate. They get on a yacht, a boat. It was a really nice boat. And Jen Shah, she threw another tantrum. And I believe she got into it with Lisa, which I was confused why or how they got into it in the first place. And then she kept shoving Lisa. And first of all, they were on a yacht and they were standing on it, right? And they were fighting on it. And I'm like, okay, somebody's obviously gonna go overboard. Because the way everybody just kept moving and fighting and Jen Shah just kept shoving her. And then she threw the whole, how do you pronounce it? The charcuterie? Charcuterie? I don't want to say shakuchi. But the charcuterie plate, she threw a bunch of food into the ocean. And I'm like, yeah, Jen, I don't think that you should be doing that while the cameras are filming you, because I'm pretty sure that the judge on your trial is probably like, wait a minute, that's another charge. On top of that, she grabs Angie K's shoes while they're on the yacht, right? Angie K, she's over there, twerking with Whitney and her non-existent ass. And what does Jen Shah do? She grabs Angie K's shoes and she throws them into the ocean. And I'm like, what? How has nobody grabbed Jen and just flung her over the boat yet? Again, I know that the judge was probably looking at that scene like, wait a minute, first the charcuterie and now the pair of shoes. Okay, that's 2 more charges. That's 3 more years to her sentence. So then we move on to this week's episode and we see Lisa, Whitney, and Dana outside by the pool. They're all talking. They're trying to figure out where do they stand with Jen currently because Jen, again, she's all over the place. She's all out of control. They don't really know where they stand with her. So they're asking Lisa, have you done your, your exercise this morning? Have you worked out? Lisa, she's telling them, well, I mean, I already ran my mouth last night. So, I mean, that's enough cardio for me. I'm like, ooh, I like that answer. But, again, Lisa, she's confused. She's telling them that she doesn't even know where she stands with Jen. Because, again, she's very unpredictable when it comes to her emotions and her friendships. At the end of the day, the only thing that we can really predict from Jen is that she's going to be crying. So, meanwhile, we see upstairs, what's her name? Angie K, Elemental P. She's going upstairs to meet up with Jen to see where she stands with her because obviously they have bumped heads. She basically wants to be in a better place with Jen. So Jen Shah, she already starts off with her manipulation and her, controlling. And she starts telling Angie, Angie K, you're like a sister to me. I really love you. I love our friendship. I care about you so much. I really, really do. I love you so, so much, Angie K. I love you and your money, especially your savings account. So Angie K, she's looking at her like, you love me. I'm pretty sure in her head, she was probably thinking, but you put champagne on my head. You've been screaming at me. You've been calling me out every 5 seconds and we gotten into it. And now all of a sudden you love me? Like you just threw my shoes over the ocean, over the boat. And now all of a sudden, you care about our friendship. Again, it's that manipulation that Jen is trying to do. She's trying to control everybody around her. And of course, Angie K, Elemental P, she fell for it. And she tells Jen Shah, yeah, I really love you too. I care about you so much and I want our friendships to be in a better place again. And I want us to be on better track with each other because I really do care about you. And I want to give you my money as well so I can be on the show for next season while you're in jail, okay? But I really love you and I care about you. And I'm like, okay, Angie K, again, give me your non-existent snowflake. Give me it. Because I'm sick of you. And Jen Shah, she just tells her that she loves her and that's that. They get up and they hug and that's that. And I'm like, Angie K, again, don't be surprised when both of you fall out again. Well, actually, they have fallen out because currently, as of now, they're going at it on Instagram with each other. And I believe that the reunion, actually, for season 3, is filming on Friday. Whether this goes up today or tomorrow, it's filming today. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out. Meanwhile, back downstairs, we see Heather. Lisa, she goes back inside to the house. She meets up with Heather. Heather, she's confused on where she stands with Jen. Obviously, the thing here is, where do we all stand with Jen? Because they're all basically skating on thin ice with her because every 5 seconds she's yelling at everybody. So Lisa, she's telling Heather, so Heather, I mean, what do you think about everything going on with Jen Shah? I mean, she's really unpredictable, right? She's really crazy. She keeps screaming at everybody. She pushed me on the boat. Can I have a Kit Kat, please? Yeah, and some bacon. Yeah, no, thank you. I love some bacon. And a Nacho Bel Grande. Thank you so much, baby gorgeous. Okay, so Heather, tell me, what's going on with you and Jen? Tell me about that. So Heather, she goes on to say, well, I don't know how I feel about Jen because I do love her, but at some point, if we really have to get to the nitty gritty of our friendship, I do wonder if we're just better friends when we're, out when we're drunk. When the alcohol is in the system, we get along, we have so much fun, we party, this, that, and the third. But when we get sober and everything is calm and there is no alcohol, we hate each other. There's always sad moments. We're always crying or getting into each other and we're angry all the time. And that sounded like a really, really toxic relationship. Obviously the relationship between Heather and Jen has always been, toxic from the very beginning, ever since Jen Shah called her Shrek. That right there, it would have been a no-go for me. Our friendship would have never recovered after that. You're calling me Shrek? Not even Fiona? Shrek, Fiona I could understand, but Shrek? The disrespect, no disrespect to you, Shrek, if you're watching, but everyone gets ready for a beach day, and it was so surreal to see this cast specifically filming somewhere where it's actually hot for once, with the palm trees, the sun, the ocean, the sand, the bikinis. It was nice to see that all for a change, because typically we only see them filming in Salt Lake City, where it's cold and gloomy and snowy mountains. This week, I felt like I was watching an episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County. So they get to the beach. Meredith, she's not fully prepared because I'm looking at her shoes and I'm like, Meredith, why are you wearing Hillary Clinton kitten heels to the beach? Like, you could have kept those at home, but okay, so they get to the beach. They're accompanied by this man who tells them that they're going to be playing a game in a team format, right? Like a tournament, and they're going to be divided into two groups to play who's going to be the baddest bitch of the beach. And I'm like, okay. So on one team, we have Jen, Heather, and I believe Angie K, LMNOP. The rest of the group is the rest of the group. Meredith, she's not with the games. She was just like, I thought that we were gonna come to the beach to relax and lay down and maybe possibly sleep for an hour or two and maybe even drink a margarita. I did not expect to be playing a game like this in a tournament style. I do not want to play games with Jennifer Shah and everybody else. I just want to take a nap. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, Meredith, typically I'll be on your side and everything, and I agree with you, but you know, this is a show. We need to watch something entertaining. So you sleeping is not gonna cut it. So, you know, eventually she participates in the game. The first challenge, I believe, is them trying to build something cool in the snow, right? One team builds an eyeball with eyelashes, and the other one, I forgot what they build. If I was the other team, you know, Whitney's team, I would have been petty. I would have, like, you know, built like handcuffs or something to represent Jen. Like, look, Jen, look, this is for you. I forgot what team ends up winning, but the activity that I actually do like seeing them play was the one where they all had to be inside those plastic balls and they were playing soccer and hitting each other. If I was Angie K though, you know, I know you put your differences to the side with Jen, but you know, if I was you, I would have took this opportunity to like get physical with her. Like, okay, so this is me inside my plastic ball, right? Like, I'm Angie K. Okay, let's play soccer. Let's play soccer. Is that Jen? Is that, okay, here he goes. Okay. Oops, I'm so sorry, Jen. Did I bump into you full force? I'm so sorry. Oh, you're bleeding. I'm so sorry. It was by accident. You know, but that's just me. But eventually, I forgot what team ends up winning. I think Whitney's team ends up winning the whole thing. But it was nice to see them all getting along for once, for 5 minutes. You know, and playing fun activities on the beach. Again, I love the different setting as opposed to in Salt Lake City for once. So eventually, I believe Jen, Shah, Heather, and Lisa, they go out to eat. They want to get some burgers or whatever. So they go to a restaurant. The rest of the group, minus Meredith, they all go out to, what's it called? To surf. And props to them, because I don't think I've ever tried surfing, nor do I think that I will be good at it. So props to them for even standing on it for more than 2 seconds, because I'll probably break both my ankles trying to attempt to do that. So Meredith, she's unbothered. She's sitting down and she's just like, well, I mean, I'm gonna be texting, you know, my son Brooks over here, okay? And I'm gonna be texting my husband Zeph from my phone. I do not want to participate with these games, okay? I want to be left alone. So then we see Lisa, Heather, and Jen at the restaurant, right? They're ordering food or whatever. Lisa, she looks a little shook that she's in front of Jen. So Lisa, right away, she starts off with Jen, and she was like, well, you know, Jen, so like, what's going on between me and you? Like, what's happening? Like, where do we stand in our friendship, in our relationship? Because I do love you a lot, but I'm not understanding why you have such a what? Oh, can I just get a margarita? Like a Vita tequila? No, like Vita tequila in my margarita. Yeah. No. I don't want Kathy Hilton's tequila. That's gross. No, I want my Vita tequila. Yeah. Can I have that? And can I get a Nacho Supreme from Taco Bell as well? Yeah. Extra cheese. Thank you, baby gorgeous. Thank you. Mwah. Okay. So anyway, back to you, Jen. So Jen, like, where do me and you stand in our friendship? Like, what's going on? Please tell me, what did I do to you? So Jen, you know, right away, you could already tell that she's like deflecting everything that Lisa's saying. Like everything that's going in one ear and it's just going out the other. So she was just like, you know, Lisa, I just don't understand with you anymore. Like, I just don't like that, you know, you were friends with Angie and stuff and you were getting along with her, and I just didn't like that. And I'm like, you know, again, Jen, this is not the Real Housewives of Jen Shah. This is the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We all have different friends and different friendships and relationships on this show with the cast members. So this does not revolve around, you know, who we need to please you and who do we not need to talk to in order to make you happy. Like, it just does not work like that. And like I keep saying, the similarities between Jen Shah and Mia from Potomac, it's just so accurate. Like, they're both like the same person, because Jen, if you're not bowing down to her and if you're not up her ass and if you don't cut off so and so for her, she's gonna have a problem with you and everybody else for nothing, you know? So then Heather, she jumped in and she was like, okay, Lisa, tag me in. Okay, so Jen, I have an issue with you too. So she tells Jen, do you think that our relationship is toxic? Me talking to my ex-boyfriend. Jen, again, she's deflecting and she turns it on her, just like she tried to do with Lisa. And she was like, toxic? I mean, maybe, but I just feel like it's toxic because of you, because you keep talking to Angie H. You keep talking to her instead of me. And again, same thing with Lisa. If Lisa's talking to Angie K, she's going to have an issue with it, or at least she did have an issue with it. And then now with Heather, because Heather wants to be friends with Angie H. That's the right letter, right? Angie H. Sarah Paulson. She has an issue with that too. But then Heather, she was like, no, because the same thing could be said about you. You're friends with Whitney, and me and Whitney right now, we're clashing with each other. And you were talking shit about her, about me to her in the hot tub. And then they play the flashback. And yeah, Jen, you were kind of downplaying Heather to a certain extent. I mean, you weren't fully talking shit, but you were talking about her maliciously to Whitney, out of all people. And you know that Whitney and Heather right now, they're not, in the best place. So again, the same thing could be said about you. Now, are you going to follow your own rules and cut off Whitney for Heather? No, but again, the whole thing is just a one-way thing with Jen. It's either her way or that's it. There is no two-way street. So eventually, Lisa and Heather, they obviously are cornering Jen, into a wall or whatever. Jen, she cannot take it. She sees that she's being proved wrong by every little conversation that they keep throwing at her. And Jen, I'm just, okay, so trigger warning, trigger warning, because we're about to talk about, I don't think I could say the word on YouTube, so I'm going to say the word unalive, if you get what I'm trying to say, So Jen, again, trigger warning. Jen, she throws that out there and she was like, oh, well, and she's crying and screaming. She was like, well, it's not my fault that I was trying to unalive myself recently, because of everything going on and everybody just keeps coming at me and I was trying to unalive myself because of that. And I'm like, Jen, I'm somebody who takes that very, very, very serious. And, that whole situation is just a very sensitive thing to everybody. It's a sensitive subject overall or whatever. And mental health is a serious thing too. And I'm not going to take that away from Jen because I see that she's obviously experiencing a lot mentally and emotionally. But Jen, for you to throw that out there and trying to almost weaponize it and use it as a shield against Lisa and Heather because you knew that you were in the wrong in this conversation between them, to throw that in their faces to try to make them be like, oh, well, maybe we're wrong actually, because if she reached that point, maybe we're the ones that are, the issue in this friendship. So maybe we should shut the hell up and let her speak and let her walk all over us. That's exactly what you were doing. And that's very disgusting of you to do because you shouldn't play around with something like that. I mean, again, I'm not going to take that away from her, but I don't know. It's just the timing of it was very poorly. You throw that out there now because you know that you're losing in this argument. It's not even an argument. It's a conversation. And they're making valid points. So what do? Just throw that in their face so they could be quiet. And that was terrible. She goes on to say that, a couple of days ago or at some point, it was just all becoming too much. And then the Instagram post, the Instagram page that Angie H's husband created, Jen Shah or Shah Exposed, that was the cherry on top. And that caused her to almost unalive herself. And she had to lock herself up in a bathroom. And then Coach Shah, her husband, he had to knock down the door and submit her to a hospital. She was there for 2 days, et cetera, et cetera. And I was kind of confused on that too. Like her claims of saying that the Shah Exposed Instagram page was the thing that really made her reach her boiling point, because I mean, from what I'm seeing on the show, that page specifically was targeting Lisa. They were talking shit about Lisa, not you. Yeah, they used your last name for the Instagram page's name, but they didn't say anything bad about you specifically. At least not that I know. I could be wrong, but after the beach, everybody goes back home and they're all getting ready to go out for a dinner, right? Whitney, she drops a bomb on everybody and me because she tells everybody that they're going to have a Marilyn Monroe night, right? They're going to have these wigs that she brought from home or the dumpster or whatever, because that's what it looked like. But she says, oh, these wigs are terrible, but I thought, okay, they're going to be terrible, but they're not going to be that terrible. No, they were terrible. She gives everybody their choice of wig, and one by one, they all start getting ready to go out to dinner, right? They all start coming out to get on the Sprinter van, and I'm just looking at them, and I'm like, what is going on? I mean, what's her name? Angie K, her green dress, it looked nice. Her wig, it was okay. Dana, oh my goodness, Dana. Wow. Just get on the Sprinter van. Just Meredith, she comes out. Her wig was okay. Her wig was actually, decent. It was put together. White doesn't really suit Meredith, but, nonetheless, okay, you look good. Get on the bus. Lisa Barlow comes out. Lisa Barlow looks like someone's grandma. I'm like, who is this? I thought it was a producer for a second. I'm like, who's this lady that just wandered off in front of the camera? But Lisa Barlow, I think out of everybody, I think she looks the worst. Maybe, but she looks terrible. But okay, she gets on the spinner, man, followed by Heather. Heather, you know, her pink dress was nice. The diamonds looked nice. I believe that Marilyn Monroe, she wore something similar like that. It looks good. Her wig, you know, her wig looks crusty, but okay, she gets on the bus, and then Jen Shah comes out, and Jen, I'm looking at her like, damn, Marilyn, what the hell happened? Her wig was crazy. It was like this huge bird's nest. And I'm like, Jen, I'm pretty sure that that was not an option. I'm pretty sure that Jen probably brought that from home, because there's just no way that Whitney was just like, oh, this is a Marilyn Monroe wig. Like, no, she looked like a hooker that just like drunk like 3 tequila shots and she was buzzed. Like, it looked crazy. So she gets on the bus. Let's see who else is missing. Whitney, her wig was decent. Her wig was okay. It was kind of put together. Everybody gets on the bus. We all get to this restaurant. They're all sitting down and everything. Already, Meredith, she starts off and she was like, so everybody, Jennifer Shah, what exactly happened between you and Lisa and Heather when you guys went out to discuss, you know, whatever you guys discussed at the restaurant at the beach? What did you guys talk about? Jen already, she was just like, you know, it was just something private between me, Heather, and Lisa. It was just between us three. And I'm like, oh, so now the conversation is private. I mean, understandable given the topic, but now it's, you know, now it's private. But let somebody else have said that. And all of a sudden, Jen, she's going to want every answer to every question that she has. So then Whitney, she interrupts and she was like, hey Jen Shah, I just want to know what did you guys talk about at the beach? I want to know what is it that you talked about with Heather and Lisa. Lisa's my new bestie, so I feel like I should know. So Jen, she looked at her and she was like, do you really have to know? Why do you have to know? And I'm like, well, why are you so defensive? All she's doing is asking a question. So Jen, she just screams it out. And again, she just kind of throws it out there on everybody, expecting everybody to kind of just, you know, take it lightly. And she was like, again, trigger warning. She was like, well, Whitney, guess what? I talked to Lisa and Heather about me unaliving myself and, you know, having to go to the hospital because Coach Shah, he knocked on the door and he had to take me there. That's what I talked about. Are you happy? Are you happy now? And I'm like, why are you so upset about it? And again, she's trying to, you know, in a way, weaponize it and manipulate this whole conversation, because the next thing she does, as you know, she shocks Whitney with that news. She tells Whitney says, you want to ask about my business and my conversation? Let's talk about what you said about Heather. And I'm like, so now you're throwing, you know, Whitney and her terrible wig underneath the bus? Like, and again, it was really hard to take this entire conversation and this entire dinner scene serious when they had those crusty, dusty wigs on top of their heads. Specifically Jen, I'm like, Jen, please take that off. And Lisa Barlow's looking like someone's grandma at that table, just like, I'm like, Lisa, you please take that off. So then Whitney, she was like, I don't feel like discussing what me and Heather need to talk about right now. Me and her, we need to talk about, you know, what I need to talk about in private, not now in front of everybody else, okay? So then Heather, she was like, wait a minute. I'm curious, what are you talking about? Jen, again, she's not letting up, and for some reason, she's upset about it. She was like, oh, well, Whitney, you know, she talked about you in the hot tub and everything. Again, throwing her underneath the bus when you were the one also talking shit about Heather in a certain way. And she was like, well, she's actually going to take a friendship break from you. And Heather, she was shocked about it. She was like, wow, a friendship break? A friendship break? Are you serious? And I'm like, now, why are you shocked about it? You really didn't like Whitney, like, mostly this season. I mean, you put up with her now, but let's not forget what you said in the first cast trip in Scottsdale. When you told her, they even put the flashback, oh, bitch, you're done. I'm done with you. You know, you lost me, bitch, you lost me. So why are you upset that Whitney's kind of returning the same energy at you? If anything, it was kind of confusing, because I'm like, okay, Whitney, where's this coming from? Because, you know, am I missing something? Because I still see Whitney as a terrible person in this situation between her and Heather. This whole situation, this whole fight between her and Heather, it all stems from that whole rumor of Lisa supposedly sucking dick for jazz tickets that Whitney put out there to begin with. And she had told the group, oh yeah, Heather was there. Heather, you heard this too, right? And just because Heather said, no, I did not hear this, Whitney had an issue with that, and now they're at each other's throats. So again, this whole issue stemmed from that. So why are we trying to place the blame on Heather? Heather, I was kind of confused too. I'm like, am I being gaslit in this whole situation? Hold on, let me get comfortable. I'm like, am I getting gaslit in this whole situation too? Because I'm like, I agree with you, but again, is there more to it or whatever? And yeah, Whitney is trying to beat up Lisa's ass, as Heather says. So they kept going back and forth, back and forth. Whitney, she's refusing to say what she really has to say to Heather. She wants to do it in private. I was kind of with Jen, like, bitch, you need to find your voice and actually say something, because you want everybody else to speak, but when you want to say something, you don't want to do it. And then she's claiming that, well, Heather, I did try to talk to you a couple of times when I went over to your house and everything, but you didn't want to talk at all. And I'm like, yeah, you went over to her house to talk, but then you tried to manipulate the whole situation and make it seem like it was her fault. So who wants to listen to that when you're obviously not getting it? So I just don't think that it's just going to be a revolving door and with this conversation between Heather and Whitney, because Whitney is not going to take accountability to her own actions. So that's when Meredith jumped in. Meredith, she was just like, well, hold on, Whitney, hold on, because the thing is, you never took accountability for saying that I spread those rumors about Lisa Barlow supposedly sucking dick for those jazz tickets and sleeping around. I never said that. It was all on you, and you never took accountability for that. And I mean, Meredith is right, Whitney never took accountability for that, at least not to my knowledge. She kept saying that she did, and I don't know where that came from. I'm like, where, what episode, and at what time, so I could flash back and see. Lisa Barlow, aka Granny, she jumps in and she was like, hold on, Meredith, hold on, because the thing is, we're not gonna talk about me right now and those rumors. We're moving forward, and I like that we're moving forward. Me and Whitney are moving forward, and that's that. Please do not try to bring up those rumors again. I don't want to talk about it no more, please. And I'm like, Lisa, again, this whole situation stems from the rumors around you, so we can't not discuss it. So Whitney, she starts going back and forth with Meredith. Heather, she put her in her spot. She was like, look, Whitney, you are just trying to, kiss Lisa's ass all of a sudden, because you had so much shit to say about her. And I mean, you did. You put those rumors out there about Lisa at the beginning of this season, and now all of a sudden you're best friends with her. So it's just like, it's crazy to me. And I wonder how Lisa's gonna feel about this once she looks back at the footage at the reunion. Like, you're gonna see that this girl, Whitney, that you've been, buddy with this entire season, has technically been talking shit about you. Well, not technically, but she's been spreading rumors about you, or putting it out there. Even though Meredith kind of started the conversation, Whitney, she added fuel to it. Like, Meredith kind of, put the rumors out there, like, oh yeah, she's supposedly, meeting up with somebody or something like that. And then Whitney, she just, blew it out of proportion. So I wonder how Lisa's gonna feel about that. Whitney was telling Heather that you don't give me the same grace that you do with Jen and everybody else. You are in a toxic relationship with Jen, but for some reason you hold me to a different standard, which, I mean, I don't know. I have to agree with Whitney. This is why I keep feeling that I'm being gaslit, because I feel like I'm the tennis ball and they keep tossing me back and forth, because I'm like, wait a minute, you make a good point. No, but you make a good point too. Wait, no, you make a good point too. So I feel like everybody's full of shit and everybody's also making valid points to a certain extent, but not Whitney. Whitney's at the very bottom of the poll. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Dana and I'm looking at her wig and I'm like, ugh, take that off. Angie K, she's just sitting there like, okay, how can I buy my way into this group, into this conversation right now? Like, both of them are so irrelevant to the whole conversation. I'm like, oh, neither one of you have anything to say. So eventually Whitney was like, you know what, Heather, enough. And Meredith, when you came over to my house, I felt like there was a weird vibe between me and you, because I'm a vibes girl. But Heather, enough. I'm leaving. I'm gonna go hell. I'm done with this. So she gets up and she walks away. And I'm thinking, okay, she's gonna storm off. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? She's right next to the producer. She's right next to the cameraman and everything. I'm like, move, Whitney. You're like in his shot. Like, move. Eventually, Dana, she finally spoke and she was like, okay, everybody, let's just go to the club. And I'm like, ooh, Dana, wait a minute. I know you've been on the show for like a couple of episodes, but I think that this is the one time that I actually agree with you. So they went to the gay club and I'm like, ooh, look at this. I love seeing them in this like different environment, because I don't think that we've seen them in a nightclub. So this was fun to see. I thought that they were all going to take off their wigs. Lisa was like, okay, we could go to the club as long as I don't have this wig on. I want to go as Lisa Barlow. So they all go to the club and I'm like, oh, look at them. I was waiting for somebody to pull a Camille Grammer, like dance all crazy and stuff like a stripper. So they're all on the balcony or whatever. Then we see Whitney, Dana, and Lisa back downstairs dancing with the crowd of men. Obviously, I know what side I will be on in this group. I'll be with them. I'll be like, I'm so sorry, Heather. I know that she just gaslighted us for half an hour, but I want to have fun and I want to shake my ass. So I'm going to go with them. Bye. Back upstairs, we see Heather. She's looking over the balcony. She spots Whitney and she was like, oh, okay, I guess she made her side. She's over there. We're over here, and that's that. Then we pan over to Whitney. She managed to get herself on the stage, and I'm like, oh, she is a party girl. And then she started doing the white girl dance. She was like, and I'm like, oh, look at Whitney. You know, even though she will gaslight the shit out of you, she looks like she has a fun time. After a night of dancing, they get back in the van and they're heading back home. In the van, they're all tired and sleepy. They're all drunk. They're eating pizza. And I think that that's one of the best feelings after going to the nightclub. You know, when you're in the Uber ride home or in the car ride home, you're just sleepy and tired. You know that you're about to take a good hot shower when you get back home, or maybe not, depending if you're nasty. You know, you're about to get the best sleep of your life, and then, you know, you're feeling a little horny and everything, and then you get back home, and then you realize, damn, I'm single. And then it just kind of ruins your whole mood. But they all get back to the house, and then Jen and Heather, ooh, they start doing a whole girls gone wild thing. They start having a good time. They start taking off their clothes and everything, specifically their bra. They're just, you know, with their titties all out. Jen, she's running around the house naked, well, with her panties on, but she has no bra on, so her boobs are all out. Her boobs, they look pretty good. I'm like, wow, Jen, okay, you know, those look good. She's jumping in the pool. Heather, you know, Heather, Miss Mormon, or Miss used to be a Mormon. I'm like, wow, she has her titties all out there. And I'm like, okay, you know, she's in her good girl gone bad era. I'm like, wow, Heather, I expected this from Whitney, but, you know, this was shocking. But, you know, they were having fun. And then her and Jen, they started putting their titties to titties. Like, they started, you know, pushing up on each other. And I'm like, wait a minute. They're getting titty juice all over each other, all over the windows, all over the seats and everything. And I'm like, oh, my. Somebody's ass is definitely getting ate tonight. Meanwhile, they're outside. They're laying on the by the pool or whatever. We see Angie K, LMNOP. She's on the balcony, and she was like, Heather, this is so unlike you. This is not like you. And I'm like, in the words of Candace from Potomac, who the fuck are you? Like, mind your business. Like, oh my goodness. Angie K, please get off the show. But regardless, they're all having a good time. They were all having fun. Lisa Barlow, she's trying to take off Whitney's wig. Not, you know, snatch it literally, but she was just trying to take it off. Eventually, Lisa was like, okay, I'm going to sleep. That's that. She goes to sleep, and that's that. And I think Whitney and, no, not Whitney, Heather and Jen, they run around the house, you know, pressing their titties against everything. And I'm like, okay. I feel bad for whoever has to clean this once, you know, they leave and everything. The cleaning people, they're probably going to come in like, okay, time to clean. Is that a nipple? And then this is where things get a little interesting, because everybody goes to sleep, right? At this point, it's about like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So everybody's going to their own rooms. We see Heather. She you know, walks off to her own room by herself. She's closing the door. She locks it. She's turning off the lights. And we see it from like a perspective of like a camera from the ceiling or whatever. For a second, I was getting kind of creeped out. I'm like, okay, you know, what in the Paranormal Activity is going on here? So then Heather, she goes to sleep, I'm assuming. And then I think like an hour or so later, somebody's trying to pull at the doorknob. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? What's going on? You know, the doorknob keeps trying to open. And I'm like, is this a ghost? So then Heather, we see her, she's walking up to the door. She opens the door, she opens it, and then the camera just kind of, you know, goes crazy or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so what happened? Like, what's going on? So then we fast forward 7 hours later, and I'm like, oh, you know, the editors on the Housewives shows, whew. So then the next morning, we see Heather and Jen. Heather, she has on these big-ass black sunglasses around her eyes. Jen, she's like, oh, you know, what's going on? What's happening? She's trying to take care of her. She texts Meredith to come on over. Meredith, she comes in, and she was like, oh, hey, good morning, guys. You know, I have these things underneath my eyes. They're really good for my eyes. I think, you know, you guys should get some. You know, she's completely clueless. And then she was like, okay, so what's going on? What's happening? Then Heather, she was so dramatic with it. She took off her big-ass black glasses, and then come to find that she had a huge black purple eye, like right here. Like her eye was closed shut. And I'm like, what the hell happened to you, Heather? Like, who whooped your ass, or what happened in that time span where you opened up the door? Like, she's showing Meredith all her scars. She has a bunch of scars around her arms and everything. Meredith, all she could do is, Like, she was in shock. She was in disbelief, and that was that. It was left at a to be continued. And I'm like, can we please figure out what happened here? I mean, I don't know. This is my own speculation. I feel like Heather opened up the door and she was probably drunk and she probably like ran herself into the door or whatever. And that's how she got the black eye. Either that, an animal attacked her, or she was allergic to something. She was allergic to something at the dinner or whatever. And maybe that's why her eye is purple and that's why she has those scars or whatever. She probably broke out or something. But I don't think that, somebody physically hit her. I mean, if they did, that'd be shocking. I'll be shocked to see that. Imagine if it was Whitney. But then again, I can't see Whitney throwing a punch and her actually blacking somebody's eye. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think that Heather actually, somebody actually tried to whoop her ass or something, or like really hit her or whatever? I hope not, but I guess we'll find out in the next episode if we do. But let me know what you all thought about this entire episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.